Hello, everyone, and welcome to November the 24th regular Town Council meeting of the Town of Vegreville. I call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Let everybody know that Councillor Rudick will not be joining us tonight, and Councillor Brodziak is on Confero. She's not feeling well tonight, so. Okay, I'll look for a motion to adopt the agenda. Okay, Councillor Wawa makes the motion. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Councillor Curtis.
Thank you very much. I'd like to add a closed session item regarding land.
Okay. Okay, we'll vote on that first. All those in favor of the addition? Councillor Brodziak, are you with us? Okay. Okay, thank you. And now we'll vote on the motion to adopt the agenda with the addition. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next up, I'll need a motion to adopt the minutes of our last regular council meeting. Councillor Curtis makes the motion. Is there any errors or omissions within those minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, first up, supplemental. We'll have a piece from our economic community engagement and economic development manager, Jameson Brown.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Today's request for council decision pertains to the support for the County of Minburn's Alberta Community Partnership Intermunicipal Collaboration Grant application on behalf of the Crossroads Economic Development Alliance. The proposal is to support the County of Minburn's application for an Alberta Community Partnership Intermunicipal Collaboration Grant on behalf of the Crossroads Economic Development Alliance, and to allow the Town of Vegreville's name to stand as a partnering municipality on the application. The background is that as part of ongoing collaborative regional economic development efforts, the County of Minburn intends to apply for an Alberta Community Partnership Intermunicipal Collaboration Grant on behalf of the Crossroads Economic Development Alliance. The alliance consists of the County of Minburn, the Town of Vegreville, and the villages of Innisfree and Manville. The proposed project would undertake a regional supply chain gap analysis. If the application is successful, a 2-year Business Retention and Expansion, or BRE initiative, will be launched to better understand strengths and weaknesses within regional supply chains and to develop recommendations that support the retention and attraction of retail, commercial, and industrial development. The project will deliver a comprehensive gap analysis identifying market leakage, investment and expansion opportunities, trade area demand, and land use recommendations. These findings will inform the creations of a Crossroads BRE marketing toolkit, which will include branded materials, sector fact sheet, asset mapping, and digital content for the Crossroads Economic Development Alliance website. At present time, there are no financial implications. The communication strategy. Should Council agree to support the application, an informed Level 1 public engagement process will be implemented. Specifically, a letter will be sent to the County of Minburn through the Crossroads Economic Development Alliance, advising that the Town of Vegreville has passed a motion to support the application and to allow its name to stand as a partner municipality. Recommendation from administration is that Council support the application and allow the Town of Vegreville's name to stand as a partnering municipality.
Okay, thank you. I'll be looking for a motion to support the recommendation. Councillor Lemko makes the motion. Any discussion? Okay, well, it's another report and another gap analysis of what we're really missing in this area. I really think that this will be good for the whole region. So, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next up, Director Saskew.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have here a memorandum to Council to present a 5-year summary of library costs, reserves, funding, and appropriation. So the background. Recently, questions have been raised regarding the financial reporting, budgeting processes, and funding methodology associated with the Town of Vegreville Public Library. Recognizing the importance of transparency and consistency, administration has prepared a consolidated 5-year summary to present key financial elements on a comparable basis. This summary includes 1, actual operating results compared to approved budget, 2, library reserve balances, 3, building-related actual costs compared to budget allocations, 4, local appropriation costs, and 5, the total town of Vegreville costs on a per capita basis. For consistency and transparency, all per capita calculations have been based on a population of 5,709, aligned with the 2019 municipal census figures. It's important to note that local appropriation costs were not historically reported on a consistent basis. For many years, the library appropriation was presented as a fixed $60,000 for building costs and $6,000 for accounting services. In 2020, this portion of the reporting was omitted entirely. Beginning in 2021, the town transitioned to reporting the actual costs of the library building along with $6,000 for accounting services, which includes biweekly payroll processing, accounts payable support, financial statement preparation, and the preparation of an annual library grant and registered charity returns. Applying this single, consistent methodology allows year-over-year funding trends and the actual financial performance to be evaluated more accurately without distortion from changing reporting approaches or varying cost allocations. Council, library representatives, and members of the public have expressed differing perspectives regarding how appropriations should be calculated and interpreted. The information presented is intended to clearly demonstrate how each metric was derived and provide transparency on the underlying assumptions and align all reporting figures to a consistent comparative basis. By presenting the financial data in this format, administration's goal is to provide council with an objective foundation for discussion, reducing ambiguity and surrounding calculations, and supporting an informed and constructive path forward. So I have here in the chart 2022, 23, and 2024 actuals as compared to budget, and then 2025 and 2026 are budget, with 2025 noting that the actual deficit, like there's 190,006 in item number 1, that is the current expenses to date as of November 19th. So these are the ones that we presented more recently to the library board. I thought for consistency we would remain those amounts the same. So obviously the variance from budget, the additional $65,000 remaining to spend in the 2025 library budget will change. Like they're obviously going to incur expenditures between now and December 31st. That was my one caveat. And then the per capita appropriation differs slightly to the figures reported by the Government of Alberta and the library's statement of receipts and disbursement. And that's because the library's report to the government does not include the town's contribution to NLLS, but for the town's contribution to be included for our local appropriation is appropriate because that is a cost to the town of Vegreville. So that's the only difference. Like if you look, for example, in 2022, the local appropriation cost would be the town contribution of the $200,000 plus the local appropriation of the $158,035, which I'm on item number 5 here. It would not include the $30,000 town's portion of the NLLS levy, but that is something that is attributable to the town. So that's how I get the $68 per capita rather than, I think it was 50 or 62. I can't remember the exact number it was. So those are my 2 caveats. And then at the very bottom, there's comparative costs per capita based on 2025 budget. So this is taking the same methodology, dividing by the 50, what's the exact number? 5709.08. Dividing that per capita for the net cost of all of these facilities. So for example, the arena, that would include the cost to operate the arena and the utilities, everything all encompassing.
Okay, so I'll take a motion to accept this report for information. Okay, Councillor Jagalik makes the motion. So the discussion around this is not intended for anything other than to get the information that's right in the community. For the last couple weeks, we have seen some crazy numbers and some crazy attitudes towards council and closing a library. None of this is true. What you see here are numbers from our audited financial statement and a projection of what the budget costs will be this year. We've seen some people trying to compare what it would cost per capita to run the arena. So what we're trying to do here is be very transparent with the community and show you exactly per capita what everything costs. And I would let everybody know that we've had some discussions with the library board about moving forward with this year's budget, and we're going to have more discussions with them. But our thought, by producing this, these are the actual numbers that this community has spent, and we broke down every department within the town. So there will be no more numbers thrown around, hopefully. People will not be just pulling stuff out of the air and claiming it to be facts. So if anybody out there is watching, this is all on today's package. You can take this number, and like I said, these are right off our audited financial statements. Is there anybody else that would like to make a comment regarding this report? Okay, so again, I hope that everybody that was looking to find out what the truth is can now understand that this is real. This is what the truth is. And we won't see any more numbers that are not right. Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next up, we have a letter from a resident, former councillor David Berry.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this letter is dated November 21st, and it is addressed to Mayor McPhee and councillors. I will start by emphasizing that I fully support library services as a former Vegreville Library Board member for 3 years and on Northern Lights Library System Board for 9 years. I believe libraries are a place where books and sources of information are available to help preserve history and promote literacy and learning for all ages. A library service is described as a service that provides reading material for convenient use, circulation of reading materials, service to help provide users with library materials, education and recreational audiovisual materials, or a combination of these services. However, when it comes to funding, I do not support tax dollars paying for miscellaneous programs that should more appropriately be supported through fundraising and sponsorship. I have been noting different interpretation of what the cost of operating the Vegreville Library is to the Vegreville taxpayer. I will present information directly from the most recent published provincial library statistics for the year 2022, but first I will clear the air with some important facts. The town council is always depicted as the villain, but who is in fact responsible for library services? The town council is governed by the Municipal Government Act, which does not state that the town or council is responsible for providing or funding library services. The library board is governed by the Libraries Act, which under section 1, subsection K, municipal library means a library that provides public library services under the control and management of a municipal library board or an intermunicipal library board. Furthermore, the Libraries Act states that under the following sections, 3 subsection 1, the council of a municipality may, by bylaw, establish a municipal library board. Section 3 subsection 2, the council may forward a copy of the bylaw made under subsection 1 to the minister. Section 3 subsection 3, on being established, the library board is a corporation and shall be known as the name of the municipality library board. Section 5, subsection 1, each year a municipal library board shall prepare a budget and an estimate of the money required during the next fiscal year to provide library services to the public. Section 5, subsection 2, the budget and estimate shall be submitted to the council of the municipality by the date specified by the council. And section 5, subsection 3, the council of the municipality may approve the estimate under subsection 1 in whole or in part. Section 6, a municipal library board shall A, create and maintain complete and accurate financial records of the board's operations. B, have a person who is not a member of the library board and whose qualifications are satisfactory to the council of the municipality review the financial records each calendar year and prepare a financial report in the form satisfactory to the council. And C, submit the financial report to the council of the municipality immediately after the report is completed. Therefore, the library board is responsible for providing and funding library services, not council. Regarding funding and costs, library boards are responsible for raising funds to operate their library through grants, donations, sponsorships, and fundraising. Library boards have not been granted the power to levy taxes. Library boards request funds from their municipal council, which in turn levies taxes. Council is therefore accountable to the public for those tax funds. Under the Libraries Act, Section 5, subsection 1, the Municipal Library Board must prepare a budget and an estimate of money required during the next fiscal year to provide library services to the public. Under Section 5, subsection 3, Council may approve the estimate, local appropriation grant, in whole or in part. There is no specific amount that Council must approve. Under the Public Library Grant Program Guidelines, in order for a library board to receive the maximum annual operating grant through the provincial government, the municipal council needs to provide a local appropriation grant of at least $3.52 per capita. Municipal Affairs requires population size to be based on the 2019 Municipal Affairs population list, which still states Vegreville population for the purposes of calculation at 5,708. So 5,708 times 3.52 is $20,092. The maximum provincial library grant for Vegreville, the maximum provincial public library grant for the Vegreville Library comes to $5.60 times 5,708, equaling $31,964.80. Vegreville Town Council has been providing a local appropriation grant of $256,000 annually in the past years, substantially more than the $3.52 per capita, at $44.85. There is a difference between local appropriation and total local appropriation. The former refers to the grant provided to the library board by the town, while the total local appropriation includes direct payments made on behalf of the library board. An annual statement of receipts and disbursements is required by municipal affairs. The ministry now requires this statement in two parts. Part 1, prepared by the library board, includes the amount of the local appropriation grant received from the town. Part 2, prepared by the town, details the direct payments made by the town on behalf of the library, including the value of in-kind services. These added costs to the town are added to the local appropriation, the sum of which is reported by municipal affairs as the total local appropriation within public library statistics. Circa 1987, the library board stopped maintaining its own financial records, bank accounts, and accounting services. Under an agreement between the library board and the town provides the building, its maintenance, utilities, janitorial services, and insurance. The town also provides accounting services, payments of receipts, payroll, etc. Library staff are on the town salary grid and employee benefits. The town handling financial accounting and banking can give the appearance that the library finances are town finances. However, as a corporation, the library board remains a distinct governing body at arm's length and is not part of a town department. All revenues received by the library board remain within the library board, or are not revenues to the town, and do not offset local appropriation costs to the taxpayer. The most recent published provincial library statistics for the year of 2022 were unfortunately from the middle of COVID and not a true reflection of current library operations. In 2022, the local appropriation grant was only $199,999, so at $35.04 per capita. Lower due to the anticipated reduced costs during the continued COVID library closure and the use of library reserves from unspent monies in 2021. Direct payments came to $158,035, making the total appropriation only $358,043 at $62.72 per capita. For the 2022 The provincial average for local appropriation grant was $42.18 per capita, and the total local appropriation, $42.90 per capita. The current post-COVID total appropriation for Vegreville, based on 450,000 and a 5708 population, would be $78.84 per capita. Using the new population figures of 6109, it would be $73.66 per capita. Vegreville has consistently been in the top 30 for total appropriation grant funding received by some 220 municipal library boards throughout its province. In 2022, Vegreville was 12th place at $62.72, just 77 cents per capita from the top 10, and $11.19 from the top 5 at $73.91. This was in 2022. Interesting, in 2015, Vegreville was in 17th place at $54.44, showing the trend increasing funds requests over the past decade. Now, as a senior on a fixed income, I cannot afford for my property taxes to keep going up to fund non-essential services. Sincerely, Dave Barry.
Okay, I'll take a motion to receive and file. Councillor Wawa makes the motion. Any discussion? Okay, well, as usual, David Barry is very thorough on how he's reporting. And I would like to make a point that the previous information that was provided with what the true costs are is based on the population of 57,008, not the new population, because all of our grant funding still comes through at 5,708. So we can't put the new number in there because the provincial grant funding doesn't match that number yet. So when we get to the growth in population, the per capita will start coming down for sure. Okay, nobody has any other comments on this? Okay, well, thank you very much, David Barry, for the information. All those in favor? Carried. Councillor Broadjack, I think you need to speak to bring your mic, to bring your camera on. So I can, there you go. Yeah. So when if you say something, then you'll come back on. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Next, we have Director Saskew.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have here a request for council decision, topic being Town of Vegreville Library appointment. The proposal is to appoint, oh my goodness, I might butcher this, I apologize, Hayan Suleiman to the Town of Vegreville Library Board. Background is the members of the Town of Vegreville Library Board have approved the application of Hayan Suleiman to serve on the Library Board. They would be appointed to serve a 3-year term, effective immediately, with the possibility of extension for up to 2 additional 3-year terms. A communication strategy would be that a letter will be drafted to the Town of Vegreville Library Board acknowledging their appointment to the board, and recommendation is that Town Council approve the appointment of Hayan Suleiman to the Vegreville Library Board for a 3-year term starting November 24th, 2025, with the possibility of extension for up to 2 additional 3-year terms.
Okay, thank you. Take a motion for the recommendation. Councillor Lemko makes the motion. Any comments? Go ahead, Councillor Curtis.
Thank you very much. I was hoping we'd see one of these come across, as we had a lot of people out, and I did make the comment that some of the people that were here and watching should definitely, get their voice in the board and have some decision-making abilities and help make that board as good as it can be. So very excited to see somebody putting their name forward.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Jagalik.
I had the privilege of meeting him at my first library board meeting, and I think he'd be a great addition. So yes, happy to see.
Okay, again, I always commend people that are willing to, put their name and get on boards in our community and help make the quality of life better in our community. So all those in favor of the recommendation? Carried. Thank you. Next up, we have some more correspondence from Colleen Hollowaychuk, Board Chair of Alcohol Public Schools.
All right, thank you, Your Worship. This is addressed to His Worship Tim McPhee. Dear Mayor McPhee, the Elk Island Public School Board trustees wish to congratulate you on your recent re-election as mayor for the town of Vegreville. In the coming months and years, Elk Island Public School looks forward to working with you to support, strengthen, and improve our schools and the opportunities they provide to our students, families, and community overall. EIPS is one of Alberta's largest school divisions, serving approximately 17,750 students in the communities of Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan, Vegreville, Strathcona, and Lamont counties, and the western portion of the county of Minburn. As a result, we have become an integral part of these communities and are proud to offer a wide range of programs in our 43 schools. We have historically worked in concert with municipal government to achieve great things for our students and the areas we serve. That collaboration spirit helps EIPS gain clear understanding of the unique strengths and opportunities of the diverse communities we serve and focus our programming in ways that are meaningful to your constituents. That said, locally elected officials share many challenges. We strongly believe that by continuing to work together collectively, however, both EIPS and the town of Vegreville will both be better positioned to find and implement the best solutions to ensure the success of all students, no matter which EIPS school they attend. Ultimately, it is our goal to give children the learning and skills they need to eventually make a difference in their lives and to contribute overall to the success of those places they choose to call home. The EIPS Board of Trustees would appreciate the opportunity to meet with you and discuss ways we can work together. We will reach out again early in the new year to suggest a date to meet. In the meantime, we wish you all the best in your governance role in Vegreville. Sincerely, Colleen Holowaychuk, Board Chair.
Okay, thank you. Take a motion to receive and file. Councillor Jagalik makes the motion. Any comments? Go ahead, Councillor Curtis.
Thank you very much. We've met with both Elk Island and the Catholic schools in the last couple of years when I was on my first term, and it was really nice to get in a room with them all and just see the what they have coming up, and not just, I know everybody talks about the city schools or the Fort Saskatchewan schools, but you know, we have our own representation here, and they know that our population is coming up, and they know that enrollment is coming up, and they know that it's a big deal to keep rural schools alive. So hoping to keep those conversations going this year and in the years to come.
Yeah, for sure. I think that we should try to meet with both of our trustees for Elk Island Public and for the Catholic School Board. And we always have had productive meetings. We meet once a year usually. I met Colleen before she was chair. And then when we were leaving Calgary, we were standing side by side, and she's like, I just sent you an email. I'm like, yes, you did. But yeah, so maybe we, for the new year, maybe we should reach out and maybe ask both the trustees from both school divisions if they would come and introduce themselves and meet council. So then we could meet with the full board after that. So. Okay, anybody else? Okay, all in favor? Carried. Next up, we have a letter from Becky Ziegler, conduct of the mayor.
All right, thank you, Your Worship. This letter reads, Good morning. My name is Becky Ziegler. I am a resident of Minburn County. I moved to Vegreville in 2022, shortly after I opened a small business in town. Then we moved to an acreage outside of Vegreville. As a member of a small community, I am very invested in the success of our town. I was unable to attend the meeting last night and watch it online. I understand the hard decisions a town council has to make. I have to say I'm upset and a little bit embarrassed by our mayor. He is the person the town chose to represent the people, and last night he treated his supporters with such disrespect. So many members of the community came to support the library, and instead of commending his community for showing support and realizing how important the service is to his town, he belittled the people who showed up saying, did you not watch the last meeting, and proceed to show the faces of all the people who showed up, as well as you need to reel in your library board. Instead of uniting with his community and working with the library board for something the town values, he spoke with disrespect, placed blame on the board as well as the members of the community, and made the supporters feel stupid for showing up for a service they value. I understand he may have been frustrated that the members of the community did not understand that the town and library board have to work together in their finances to keep the doors open, and the town does not decide how the money is spent, but instead of educating the people, he spoke down to them. I'm one of the many mothers who value services the library provides for children, and one of the many people who feel offended by the way the mayor chose to speak to his community. I understand all the points he was trying to make, but as a representative of the town of Vegreville, I believe how you choose to speak is important. We hold our mayor at a high standard, and I truly hope this is not how he represents our community. He did not just belittle me, but all the people who showed support for the library. I would like to see him take responsibility for his actions by apologizing to the community and show them that he can work together with us in the library board to keep the doors open. The town of Vegreville, the library board, and the residents are not opponents, but pieces of a community. I hope the mayor can stop acting as if the library board is a rival and that the town is innocent in their part, and instead act together to the voices of their community to keep the library running. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, Becky Ziegler.
Okay, we'll take a motion to receive and file. Councillor Lemko makes the motion. Any comments? Okay, well, I'll take this one. Well, I'm sorry, Mrs. Ziegler, that you feel this way. And I will be the first to admit that I am not much of a politician. I am very blunt, and I always start with the truth. I think after watching my comments later, that I think you could see the frustration that was growing in my voice. I wasn't trying to talk down to anybody. The frustration comes from comments that are made on social media, comments that are made in public that are not true. And all of our training tells us we're not to respond to anything that's said about us. Well, typically I don't, and typically I can control my emotions. But when it starts affecting your family and they're caught up in something that isn't the truth, people stopping and asking, why is your husband closing the library? Why are these things taking place? I am sorry to all those that were here and that were watching that my frustration broke through. We don't feel the library is an enemy, but in 13 years I've been on this council, 13 budgets I helped put together. This is the skinniest budget I've ever seen. And when we're done in the budget process, where the community is going to find out why that is. But for right now, when certain members of the community choose to misrepresent the truth, it's not fair to council. And this is probably the first time that I have shown my frustration in this way. I know most of the people that were here that night, and I apologize to every one of them. But the fact still remains that if you know something to be untrue, I don't feel you should keep spreading that rumor around. I know it's easy to take shots at council because we never respond. We don't really have a chance to, and we are basically told that we shouldn't respond to criticism, things that aren't factual. And I think maybe I had let my frustration show a little bit. So I am sorry for anybody that feels that I was talking down to them. I will try to practice my mannerisms a little better the fact that I am very blunt is probably never going to change. But I can really maybe change the tone in my voice. Is there anybody else that would like to comment on my behavior? Seeing none, all those in favor? Councilor Brojak? Okay, thank you. Next.
All right, thank you, Your Worship. This next is a letter from Jim Scheck regarding funding for the Vegreville Centennial Library. And it's addressed to Vegreville Town Council. At the Vegreville Town Council meeting November 10th, 2025, the mayor harshly criticized the Vegreville Library Board and indicated that the town allots too much funding to the library each year. The mayor noted that in comparison to other Alberta municipalities, Vegreville is the upper end per capita funding to the library. He also stated that the board needs to make better decisions and that residents of Vegreville need to reel in the board. These statements are inflammatory, misleading, and falsely indicate that the library and the library board poorly manage the funding they are given. Based on the budgets posted at the Vegreville Town website, funding for staffing and operation expenses of the library is approximately $468,000 during 2025. Given the multitude of activities the library conducts, this is a very modest allotment. In comparison, it is less than the approximately $483,000 budgeted for the town councillors and mayor's salary and expenses during 2025. Library funding may be more per capita basis than other municipalities, but Vegreville Library is a lot more active in the community than most other libraries. The Vegreville Library is open to the public during business hours 6 days a week throughout the year. Obvious tasks for the library staff include organizing, maintaining, and shelving books, along with facilitating circulations of books to Vegreville residents and to library members throughout Alberta via Northern Lights Partnership. In addition, as noted in many of the letters that Town Council received at the council meeting November 10th, 2025, library staff support use of the shared library computers so that residents who don't have computers at home are able to access the internet and complete the multitude of computer activities that society now expects, including completing government applications and online education. In addition, library staff support the many social and education programs that use library spaces to help residents thrive and become integrated in our community. Rather than criticizing the library and library boards, we should commend them for all they have accomplished with their modest budget. I do not know the salaries of library staff. These must be very modest so that enough people can be hired to staff the library reception desk, manage the library books, help residents find books and use the shared library computers, and support the multitude of social and education programs that are conducted in the library. And I suspect most of town councillors, would be unwilling to work for the low hourly wage paid to the average staff person hired at the Vegreville Library. Funding from the town is definitely not being misused. I understand that Vegreville Town Council must manage the town budget and hard decisions are required. However, hearing the mayor focus unwarranted and invalid criticism on the library and library board serves to only inflame these discussions. That is neither helpful nor professional. If budget cuts are necessary, it is incumbent on councillors and the mayor to review all areas where dollars are spent and identify those with the least value for dollar. Residential snow removal is one of many examples where costs and delivery of service could be reduced and have a relatively minor negative implications to residents. I would much prefer to have snow on my street scraped and hauled away fewer times each winter if that allowed Vegreville to have a healthy library program. Jim Sheik.
Okay, take a motion to receive and file. Councilor Curtis makes the motion. Any comments? Okay, well, again, this is on me. So, Mr. Sheik, again, you didn't mention in here once about what I was trying to explain to people about our taxes and how we have been striving to get residential and non-res taxes in the median of all the municipalities in our province. So we'd like to be right in the middle. And I identified some outliers and what municipalities are using tax dollars for. And the library was one. You bring up our wages. Well, I think that if you were to look at all municipalities over 5,000, between 5,000 and 15,000, which is where we're trying to be, we are exactly in the medium. Again, that is on purpose. This is where we're trying to be. As far as maybe cutting back on residential snow removal, I know that you and your wife walk everywhere in town, and it wouldn't be a big deal to you, but I can guarantee you that if we were to take away residential snow removal, it would not be a very happy community. But that being said, we have asked every department in our organization to look for cuts this year. Like again, I just said, this is the skinniest budget in the 13 years I've been here. So we are looking at every possibility of where we can cut spending at right now. But I would like to say that your letter and Mrs. Ziegler's letter were a lot nicer than a lot of the correspondence that I receive regarding our taxes. They were well written, and there wasn't a lot of swearing and name calling in your letters. And again, we try as hard as we can on this council to put our municipality tax-wise, spending-wise in the median, so that we're not spending too much on one and not enough on the other, and we're trying to keep our taxes there. And it's not an easy job to do. So again, I appreciate your letter, and we'll see where we end up, because we have been talking with the library board and will continue to talk with the library board, just like we're talking with every department within our organization where we can cut some tax dollars and save. I guess after the budget's done, I'll be able to explain this a lot easier to the public where we're at right now. Does anybody else have any more comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. I think we have another letter.
Thank you, Your Worship. This letter is regarding the Vegreville Centennial Library from Paul Casey. And it's addressed to Dear Mayor McPhee and members of council. On November 10th, 2025, my wife and I, along with many other residents, attended the meeting of Town Council in support of the Vegreville Centennial Library. We were there to hear the presentation from Mr. James McDonald, Executive Director of Northern Lights Library System, and to listen to council's comments regarding discussion held at the October 15th meeting concerning the town's potential withdrawal from Northern Lights Library Systems. During that meeting, council ultimately approved the 2026 NLLS levy. During both November 10th council meeting and on Facebook, Councillor Lemko expressed his passion for the library and stated that he fully supports it. However, he also remarked that the town's contribution towards the library operations, quoted as $78.54 per capita, was unsustainable for Vegreville taxpayers, necessitating difficult funding decisions. Mayor McPhee echoed those concerns during the meeting and later in the Vegreville News Advertiser, November 12, 2025, where he also commented on the role of social media and suggested that residents may not have received all the facts. In the spirit of clarity, I would like to discuss those facts. According to the town's 2025 operating budget, the Vegreville Centennial Library projected operating expenses totaled $467,960, excluding the town's portion of the NLLS levy, which equates to $78.54 per capita. However, the library also generates and budgets $211,960 in revenue from provincial grants, contributions from neighboring municipalities, user fees, and other sources of revenue and transfers from its own reserves. When these are taken into account, the net operating cost to the town of Vegreville and therefore its taxpayers is $256,000 or $42.97 per capita. When the town's portion of the NLLS levy, $31,679 is added to the total per capita cost, it rises to $48.28, significantly less than the $78.54 per capita figure cited by Councillor Lemko and the mayor. Presenting only partial budget information risks creating a misleading impression among residents and taxpayers regarding the library's true costs. I respectfully submit that greater transparency and precision in sharing financial data would foster more informed public discussions and reinforce confidence in council's decision-making. Our community deserves full and accurate information on matters that impact property taxes, such as library funding. Yours truly, Paul Casey.
Okay, I'll take a motion to receive and file. Councillor Jagalik makes the motion. Any comments? Councillor Lemko.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's my opportunity to address the letter here in front of us and maybe some of the other ones that were written and I never spoke about. I'd like to thank Mr. Casey for writing the letter and also for watching my Facebook page and listening to my comments. And when I talked about $78.54 per capita, as most of you have listened to Director Saskew explaining the cost of where those numbers came from. In front of us, when we're sitting here in budget time, we find out the town's contribution to the library is $260,000. Our contribution to the Northern Lights Library levy is $31,679. Then we add the local appropriation costs, which is the facility costs and the assets related to that, all the maintenance and that, as Councillor Saskew, Director Saskew had mentioned earlier. This is the item that's missing in, Paul, in your statement here, getting your $48 down to $48. A local appropriation of $156,650 divided by 5708 equates to about $27. Adding that to 48 comes up to what? You do the math. I'm not an accountant. And your numbers in here are, though, our accounting numbers, bringing it down. I'm not misleading the public. I'm just stating facts. And I'm going to use an example. And my example is, let's say it's Grandpa and his grandson. This is layman's terms. Grandpa being the taxpayers of Vegreville, and Nate, his grandson, being the library board. Nate comes to Grandpa and he says, Grandpa, can I have 25 bucks? Sure you can. Here's $25. He goes home, talks to his mom, talks to his dad. He gets a few more bucks. He goes out and shovels snow. He gets a few more bucks. Cuts grass, gets some more money. Sells cookies, gets more money. So he takes that money and he does whatever he wants. He funds his video games or his cell phone, or he buys candies, or he goes to shows. He spends his money as he's collected it and all that. The bottom line is, it didn't change anything for Grandpa. Grandpa still gave him 25 bucks. And because of all the fundraising he did, didn't lower my number, the taxpayer, as in stated by Mr. Casey. All this stuff that the library did didn't change my $78 number. It changed the number how the library operates. The taxpayer still paid $25 to his grandson, Nate. His grandson comes next year and he says, I want $27, Grandpa. And I say, son, grandson, I can't afford $27. My costs have gone up 1.5% for the last 5 years, being the new the levy. My insurance has gone up. My taxes have gone up. I got to pay an RCMP bill. I've also got to pay for money coming into me is less. I got to pay taxes. The government of Alberta puts a tax increase on public, like not the library, but schools, They increased that number tenfold. And that's taxing grandpa, the taxpayer of Vegreville. I can only afford 20 bucks. Can you change your spending on your side, grandson? Can you go fundraise some more? Can you make more cookies and get more money coming into your pocket so that you can help grandpa out so I don't have to, I feel bad that I can't give you that money, but I don't have it. That's layman's terms, ladies and gentlemen. The way I can do it as sitting here, I'm not an accountant, but black and white, I give my grandson $25. And we can take it from there. That's all I have, Your Worship.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, again, Mr. Casey, thank you for your letter. Hopefully you'll be watching and you'll do the math and what the other appropriation is. And also, this is the last, before we go to our budget meetings, about the funding for the library. And like I've said, we've had communication with the library board, and we hope that between the board and ourselves, we can come to a level of funding that makes it work for both parties. It's nobody here is against the library board. It's the amount of money that we have to work with is the biggest problem today. And I know it's easy to go tax the residents and charge them more, but this is not a good time to be raising taxes right now. I'm hoping some of this emotion in the community will turn into maybe some more donations for the library. I mean, we heard from the Northern Lights Library Board that every year $1 million is saved in buying books and video games and stuff. So those that are saving this $1 million may want to help the library fund that. Or maybe there is some more fundraisers. Maybe they could put their names in. We know that in the next year and a half, there'll be a brand new casino built in Edmonton. I don't know if they have a casino license, but maybe some of this passion that we're seeing in the community, which is good for the library, maybe they can take and direct that into helping fund the library and help fundraisers. So, again, thank you for your letter, Mr. Casey, and hopefully you'll see the previous slide presented by Director Saskew and understand exactly what the numbers are. And we can all move forward with exactly the right numbers. We all have the information. The community has the exact dollar amount from audit financial statements, and we can move forward, and hopefully the next time we see something on social media, the numbers will be correct. Go ahead, Councillor Jagalik.
Thank you, Mayor McPhee. I just want to acknowledge, as we kind of close in on these conversations, as we approach our last budget, that I think from a bird's eye view, this is just as much about the process as it is about the numbers that we're dealing with. And I think I can anticipate that October meeting, nobody here understood the level of involvement that would come from the community, which is a fantastic thing. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But should we ever find ourselves in this position again, I think it's fair to say that we would do our best to get in front of it. And by having these very clear numbers and explanations and descriptions available for not just the public, but for ourselves as well, because we had to ask many questions, we had to do a lot of digging, and we had to lay it out like this. Director Saskew did a phenomenal job of doing that and making it understandable for everyone. I think I just want to point out the biggest misunderstanding is when we're talking about the local appropriation and the total local appropriation, and whether or not we should be including the cost of running the facility into the number that we're providing to run the services and programs there. And I think that's what people are having a hard time understanding, and whether or not we should do that. So as long as we're comparing apples to apples with the other facilities and services that we provide here, then that's fine, that's good. As far as social media goes, Mayor McPhee's not wrong. We are trained not to engage. However, I think that people are asking relevant questions, and they're similar questions to what we've had throughout this last month here. And so I don't want council to come across as though we deter that, and we don't want to see that, because we do. And I think that we all understand that the budget is tight. And I've certainly come to learn where we need to be and how we need to get there, and we need to be creative in doing that. In addition to Councillor Rudick, I'm the other second council representative on the library board, and I'm very eager, and I take that position very seriously, and I'm very much looking forward to working with them on fine-tuning their finances, and I think there's a lot of opportunity to do that. It just requires new people at the table, and the other thing I don't want to forget is that these are volunteers. So there's a lot of work to be done, and I think it can be done, and I think we'll end up in a place where everybody's happy. We're going to make some fine adjustments and try to make sure that we're not cutting services to the community that they heavily rely on. So again, I just want to reiterate that it's been a lot of information for everyone to digest, and I appreciate Director Saskew's work on this and CAO Ling keeping us in the loop with everything, and I look forward to where we end up. I think it'll be a good place.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other comments? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, here's a fun one. Director Saskew, the monthly cash statement.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have here the monthly cash statement for October 31st, 2025. We began the month with $4,229,181, and we had receipts of $2,636,547 and disbursements of $1,909,402 for a net closing balance of $4,956,326.95. So that is a change in cash balance of $727,145. Major sources of cash: the long-awaited debenture received for the Forest Main, $1,363,951. Also LGFF operating, $101,000. And a Government of Alberta grant for FCSS of $80,427. We had fairly major uses of cash. Were very consistent with the normal course of operations. For example, pre-authorized payments for deft amounts, payroll. Those are consistent month over month. But we also had $100,000 spent on the remainder of projects for 2025. So that was some roadworks and asphalt. So all in all, that is all I have for the cash statement, unless there's questions.
I'll take a motion to accept the cash statement as presented. Councillor Lemko makes the motion. Any questions? Our LGFF operating was 2025.
Correct.
They waited till the very end of the year.
Yes and no. So they switched websites this year. So to submit the LGFF SFE for operating wasn't available until May. And my normal course of operations is to have that submitted by the end of April when we do financial statements. And so I gained access in the summer and sort of misplaced it. So the SFE for operating was not submitted until summertime, and that's why there was a delay. So it was my fault.
And we, on the LGFF capital side, we've received everything?
We actually received our final payment on Friday evening. I got a nice email while I was up on a mountain. We received $1,070,000 for this current year's remainder of funds.
It's all spent.
Yes.
They thought so. Okay. Any comments? All in favor? Carried. Got me all excited. I thought we were gonna have some money. Okay, well, let's start with the council reports. Let's go to Councilor Broadjack first. Or Councilor, oh, there she is.
I was gonna say, you'll have to forgive me because I'm trying to, I don't have a screen here. I only have one. So I want to take a picture of my report and then I can mention it exact. So if you want to go on to another counselor while I do that.
Sure, let's go to Councillor Warwawa.
Thank you, Your Worship. It was quite a busy last 2 weeks since our last council meeting. We started with November 12th to 14th. We were at the Alberta Munis Convention, all as a council. I had some really good different groups that I went and sat with, got to learn a lot of stuff. I was with Councillor Brodziak at a Power and Regions Board meeting thing, and that was really interesting. Then I went to one on the FCSS. That one was also really interesting, being on the board with Councillor Jagolic. Felt like I learned a lot about the FCSS to bring more knowledge to that group. Also got to hear the Premier Smith talk. That was really cool. A lot of great things, and got to meet a lot of people and really learn a lot through that convention. And then November 17th, we had our budget meeting. Also on November 17th, I had my first Veg Tourism Board meeting. That was really good. I might have voluntold Councillor Jagolic to be the chair of that board. And then we had on November 18th a ledge meeting. And then I had on November 20th a meeting with the Vagmin Learning Society. That was my first board with them, so that was really good. Then in November 21st, I had the Go East AGM, where I actually got nominated to be on their board, so I agreed to the nomination. So I'll be sitting on their board. And then today we just had an FCSS board meeting. That was also our first meeting with the group, and now I'm here.
Excellent. So you voluntold Councillor Jagolic.
Yeah, we got asked to, one of us had to be the chair, and my exact words were, Councillor Jagolic would love to.
Okay, well, that being said, Councillor Jagolic, let's hear your version.
Needless to say, Councillor Warawa owes me one. So I do have quite a bit to report. I hope it will be of interest to everyone, but at the same time, bear with me. So as Councillor Warawa mentioned, November 12th to 14th, we were in Calgary for our Alberta Munis Conference. In the interest of not forgetting anything, because I'll be upset at myself if I do, I wrote some things down, I'm just gonna read it. So the Alberta Munis Conference was obviously a wonderful opportunity for networking and being a part of conversations that concern municipal representation on a provincial level. I appreciated participating in multiple breakout sessions, including the importance of the preventative work of FCSS and how to be an effective council, to name a few. I also thoroughly enjoyed and appreciated the keynote addresses from both Dr. Shauna Pandia and Premier Daniel Smith. Even more so, though, it was a privilege to have a voice for our municipality in the resolutions brought forward, including access to midwifery care in rural settings, electrical distribution charges, access and affordability for general and seniors housing, as well as funding for recreation facilities and libraries. It was also a great opportunity to get to know my fellow councillors on a more personal level as well. November 17th, we had our budget meeting, at which I learned a great deal about the goals and challenges that come with balancing the budget, and I will continue to ask questions and hope to carry forward both a practical and considerate means of getting to where we need to be. November 17th was my first tourism board meeting. That was my first opportunity to sit at the table, which had previously come with very positive recommendations from my fellow councillors. I can confirm it's a fun and lively group with many different roles and organizations represented here. So it's obvious to me how tourism in Vegreville has become so effective by thinking outside the box and attracting new visitors, but also serving the residents of our community as well. Outside of getting to know the new and existing members and getting some background from the board, I learned there about the $10,000 grant that was successfully used to plant trees in the campground to increase privacy and shade. At a previous meeting, Manager Kuzmik had touched on that as well. So we reviewed data on the usage at the Vegreville Information Center and discussed the many upcoming holiday festivities as a part of a very Vegreville Christmas. I don't know who came up with that. That's like the hardest thing to say. Being held throughout town on Friday, November 28th. November 19th, we had 2 separate library meetings. So the first was with administration, council, and the library board. This was just an opportunity for us to collaborate and fine-tune some discussions about what's going to be upcoming. So that was a short and sweet meeting, but it was highly effective. The library board meeting, which followed immediately after, was one that I was very much looking forward to because I knew I would learn very much, which I definitely did. Discussions were had about their current and upcoming calendar events and seasonal projects, such as the Tree of Giving, the In Need display, and the silent auction, but also about the ways in which the library board staff and management can maximize their efforts to raise funds for their programming and services. Overall, I'd like to compliment the staff at the library for being so engaged and having a solid understanding of their consumer base and being open to new ideas to not only maintain the library's services, but to advance them going forward by being receptive and finding ways to be in a better position financially. I successfully put forward 2 motions to help them with this momentum, one of which was being the direction to management to initiate a membership sponsorship campaign, which prompts members who are renewing their own membership with the option to sponsor a membership for a patron or community family that may be in need or are in a position of not having the means to fund their own membership. This initiative will reduce barriers for people in difficult financial situations and increase accessibility to those who need it, while still maintaining the standard membership revenue to the library. The second motion was for a community-based sponsorship program. So this will allow individuals, businesses, and organizations to fund specific programs or services offered within the library. So for example, they will do a cost analysis to begin, not on every program they offer, but on some. And they will be able to put it out into the community that they can sponsor, let's say, the drop-in Lego program or the coffee and chat program. A local business, family, or organization can put forward the funds specifically allotted to those programs, and that will help them raise funds. So the benefit of that is it's a straightforward and engaging way to involve the community in terms of raising funds. The initiative holds no bounds to what the library can offer up for sponsorship and could prove to be a long-lasting means of generating financial support. Lastly, there was a lot of conversation about ways that the community can get involved. So I encouraged all the non-board members that were in attendance to seriously consider becoming involved in the Friends of the Library Foundation. This group would involve those that are passionate about the library and its role in the community and task them with finding creative and collaborative ways to raise funds. It is understood, the chair made it very clear, that the Friends of the Library Foundation right now is essentially non-operational. So Councillor Rudick and I both echoed that now is the most opportune time to gather people to bring this group back to life and do some good for our library. So I just want to reiterate that anyone who likes the sounds of that can reach out to the library board chair directly, or I assume our town administration as well can put you in touch with them and find more information on how to become involved. So obviously a lot to share there, but I'm very pleased that it seems that we've hit the ground running, and I'm very much looking forward to further collaborating on our relationship with the library. Lastly, right prior to council meeting this evening, as Councillor Warawa mentioned, we were both at our FCSS board meeting. There we learned about the counseling services, the role of FRN. We heard from Community Development Facilitator and the FCSS Community Development Coordinator. This evening was mostly about bringing us up to speed, but they did mention that they applied for multiple grants that are very exciting and will serve our community well. But I will save the details on that and let them announce that going forward. That's all that I have.
Very nice, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Councillor Rajak.
Okay, I think there's a little bit of a delay, that's why I'm having trouble getting on here. On November 11th to the 14th, I also attended Alberta Munis. On November 17th, we had our budget meeting. November 18th, the legislative meeting, and tonight's council meeting. While I was at Alberta Municipalities, gave us an opportunity to network with other elected officials, and we get to find out a lot about what their challenges that they're facing in their communities, if they're similar communities to ours, if they're growing, again, you know, what type of library per capita costs that they would encounter, things like that. I attended a few sessions One of them was the municipal and provincial police presentation. So I just want to share with the public that we do have a municipal and provincial police service agreement in place. The current agreement that the province has been in place since 2012, and it expires in 2032. So there's still a few years of planning left to make sure that that it remains affordable, and that hopefully we know what expenses that we'll be facing every year. To note that I'm not sure where they got these numbers from, but municipalities over 15,000 are responsible for 90% of their policing costs. So 90% is municipal and 10% is federal. Vegreville falls under the 5,000 to 14,999 population, and so we pay 70% of our municipal policing costs, and federal is responsible for 30%. So this puts us at a disadvantage, especially if you're comparing, again, Vegreville to Vermilion, two very similar communities. And that number 5,000, once you hit that 5,000 population threshold, you immediately have an extra expense. And I'm not sure exactly what the number is, but if Director Saskew can maybe correct me, but I'm guessing it's well over $1 million that we pay in excess compared to what the town of Vermilion would pay for their policing. So anyway, that's food for thought, and I don't think there's appetite to be able to change this. I know at one time the number used to be 2,500 many years ago, and somehow it got bumped up to 5,000, so it would be nice if they changed it to 10,000. There also, with the policing, one thing that caught my attention is that they use a lot of drones now for their operations, and this really reflects on safety, more safety to the officers and whoever is out there, going in various dangerous situations. So they made the comment that the use of drones has increased substantially in the last few years, and it's probably saved lives of many officers. So thankful for the use of technology. And that one of the highlights of the Muni's conference was Johnny Harris. So he's got a show on CBC, and he goes to small towns and just makes a great half-hour weekly show out of presenting situations in small towns. So he's great to have there, and sure brought up, made a lot of people laugh. So thank you to Alberta Munis for their two special presenters. And that's my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Curtis.
Thank you. For me as well, November 12th to 14th, went to the Alberta Munis Conference. Some of my sessions I went to one was on economic growth and how to drive it in rural Alberta. And what was very nice to hear was a lot of the things that they expect you to do or they want your communities to do. Our Economic Crossroads group is doing that. So having the kits ready, getting turnaround quickly for information. Developers and investors don't want to wait around. They know what they want, and if you can get that information quick and available to them, the better chance they are going to come to your community. Another one was use of brownfield properties, which is tough to get some of those old properties that have potential reclamation issues or they're contaminated. And sometimes it's thrown around about if you just talk really nice to them, if you engage with them, if you lower the taxes for them, even though they're probably the lowest taxes on a bare piece of land. I don't know if I have appetite for that, but it's very difficult when there's no driver to make them reclaim the land, and it does cost a lot of money. So I didn't really get a good answer out of that, and I don't think many other people did either. But hopefully, maybe one day the provincial government will step up and say you got to do something about these. as well, just did some networking. I actually was able to get a potential buyer for a property in Prosperity Park. I sent them over to Jameson, a mayor of a southern municipality, but also a business owner, a partner in a business, and I was chatting with him, and I think he had been looking at Vegreville because he already knew quite a bit, and he was asking some questions, so I got him Manager Brown's email. So hopefully that something can come of that, because we're always looking for people to come to the community. As well, I ended up having a conversation with Minister Dreeshen, Minister of Transportation and Economic Corridors. He was very integral in helping us get our sewer main project done. Not only just for grant funding for the main project, but with all of the overage costs because of supply delays and the inflation since COVID, we were able to get some more grant funding back to cover some of that too. So I thanked him very much, and looking forward to working with him in the next 4 years. And then we had our budget meeting on the 17th, and our ledge meeting, and tonight's council meeting.
Thank you, and you, in your conversation with Minister Dreeshen, he was asking where I was, so you hadn't seen me yet?
He did ask where you were, and I kind of looked around. I said, usually you can hear him bellowing through the town, but
I did run into him right after that. So. Okay, next up, thank you, Councillor Lemko.
Thanks, Your Worship. First of all, I want to thank those people who are in attendance tonight. Thanks for coming out, expressing interest in what we do up here, being able to see us and communicate, understand how we function as a council, addressing the items that come to us and how we relay that back to the public. But seeing people in the building is refreshing, as we don't get an opportunity to see that very much. So thank you. November 11th, I attended the Remembrance Day ceremony at the Social Center. I must say, I've been attending that every year for, I'm old, so it's been a long time. And I can honestly say, I thank the community for coming out. It's the most people I've seen in the Social Center for a Legion Remembrance Day ceremony. So thank you for coming out and showing our veterans and all the people who serve and are associated with the Legion our support. So that was nice to see. After Remembrance Day, we left and we went to Alberta Muni's Conference, as my colleagues have mentioned. A lot of networking, a lot of opportunity to talk to people who are in the business of municipalities. I attended the RCMP session with some of the leaders in the RCMP about what's going on in their world, and I think Councillor Brodziak mentioned about the drones and all those things that are going on. But the session that I was very interested in was the one that was led by David Williams, and he's the Assistant Deputy Minister in the Housing Division, Assisted Living and Social Services. And his session was on what does the role of the municipality play in housing management, and what's the role of elected officials in that. Now, David is tied to Minister Nixon, which divvies out the funding for affordable housing and senior lodges. So as you know, or if you don't know, the board of directors of the Minburn Foundation is looking to expand the Homestead Lodge. We're the oldest facility in Alberta, built in '61, with some very outdated rooms. There was an update in 2000, but our building is old. And as the baby boomers grow, we're trying to add on to our facility, 63 more units, a 4-story building. We're at the stage right now where we've invested a lot of money in preparing application to the governments for funding. It'll be about a $35 million build. And we're over 50% complete on our architectural drawings, electrical, plumbing, and all those things, which moves us ahead of the line in when you're asking for money from government. Are you shovel ready? And we are. We're 3 weeks away from completing the drawings and sending out to tender. But in saying that, we need money. So it was my opportunity there to connect with Mr. Williams and express how, just where we are, what's going on, just so he knows where we sit. He did mention that he had a good conversation with his worship Tim a few nights earlier, so he's well aware of our, so that's the networking that goes on from this council with the people in the know with the money. I had a good conversation with him, and I was quite pleased at the end. Does that mean we're getting money? No. But he'll remember the Homestead Lodge is asking for money. I believe today or yesterday we submitted our funding ask to the CMHC for funding. And then now I announced, the announcement came today that they're opening up the Alberta Housing funding for $200 million, and maybe we can sneak a little bit of that and get our lodge started to support the seniors that have that are going to be needing it. And also in that wing, in the new build, we built 14 units to the capacity of for the higher level of care, which will be managed by AHS, nurses, their own kitchen and all that for that extra people like that are in long-term care. Because we all know there's a waiting list to get into long-term care. So we're backing up the hospitals with people in there that need to be in long-term care, but there's no place to go. So we're building that to that capacity. It won't be off the hop if we get the money that we're going to do that, but we're building it to be able to do that once we deal with AHS and they see the need. That. So that was my conference and all the other things that go on. That was my 9th conference. So meeting. There's 60% of the people there were all new counselors. So that was interesting. So was the turnover. November 17th, I attended a budget meeting. November 18th, our ledge meeting. Tonight's council meeting. And all my meetings start tonight and go. My list for next council meeting will be quite extensive. But I'm glad for tonight's meeting. It was a great meeting, and I'm happy that we accomplished a lot. Thanks, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you very much. So on November the 11th, I attended the Remembrance Day ceremony, and I got to speak to the citizens, and again, it was a great turnout, and I want to thank Branch 39. They do a real good job in our community in keeping all these traditions and stuff going. I mean, you can't say enough about the work they put in over there, and I want to thank all the residents that showed up. Very respectful. I did attend Alberta Municipalities Convention as well. It was a nice chance to get together with ministers and reaffirm that Vegreville is still here and we still need money, and renew some friendships. I did speak with Mayor Jackie of Grand Prairie regarding resolution that for the distribution fees in northern Alberta, any ATCO supplied municipality, and how far out of whack they are compared to the rest of the province, and we need fairness brought forward, and Alberta Munis is now taking that forward, and hopefully we'll get some traction there. I also attended the Alberta RCMP provincial agreement stakeholders meeting, and it was nice to walk in and see the new deputy commander, Trevor, and the former Curtis and Nina sitting there. It's nice that they all got up and acknowledged that I was in the room and that we were friends. And I did bring up, Trevor was trying to make a point that they used 4,500 RCMP members at the G7 in Kananaskis this year. And they brought them from all over Canada, not just out of Alberta, so we weren't short all over the place. And I asked the deputy commander, that must have been embarrassing, 4,500 RCMP members, and Trump still snuck in. And that worked out pretty good. I, too, attended some other breakout sessions. I attended How to Be a Better Mayor. I did. I certainly did, and it was, the information was good. There was, on the council, it was up front, some mayors that have gone through some rough times, and then we listened to some other stories from the audience, some new mayors asking questions. Social media seems to be prevalent. Some of the comments that are in every community, and it seems to stop the momentum of council and stuff. And we talked about it and how do you address it, and you know, and there was a lot of success stories too. That some councils that were in really rough shape when the start of last term, and how they turned it around. And again, it wasn't easy, but when you sit in the mayor's chair, you're like the chairman of the board, and you need to make everybody feel like a team player, and everybody needs to be involved in the decision making. So it was a good session, and again, just reaching out and, you know, talking with other municipalities, and getting to see some friends of mine that are actually ministers in the government of Alberta, and renewing those acquaintances is always good. So I had the budget meeting on the 17th, ledge meeting 18th. I attended the meeting with Councillor Rudick and Councillor Jagalik, and with the board, the library board, and I think that as we slowly work our way through the process of where we all need to be, I just think that, you know, this is how it needs to be done right now. So our communication is very vital to this. On the 20th, the John S. Patuque Water Commission, a site tour. I've been elected chair of that commission, and it was nice to bring out some of the new board members and their alternates to see exactly how we deliver water, how it comes to us from EPCOR, and how the process is and what infrastructure that we have and stuff. So, and then this morning I was in an economic development meeting with Jameson, Alberta Hub, and Provectus. And then tonight's town council meeting, and that's what I've been up to. Is there any other business of council? I think that's 2 meetings in a row. I didn't miss anything, correct? Win. Okay, so the agenda had an addition of a closed session item. I'll take a motion to go into closed session. Councillor Wawa makes that motion at 8:27. All those in favor? Okay, we'll take a 5-minute bio break. Thank you all for attending.
Thanks, Rob. You bet.